so that the only thing that I feel that I use as an actor is my instinct. If I read a script, I see a character, I read a scene, I'm in a scene, and whether it's on stage or on film or on television, the first response to how a part should be played or how a scene should be played is an instinctive one. And as I listen to that very, very carefully, almost before I hear an external opinion, a director's opinion, a producer's opinion. I make sure I know how instinctively I think what the truth of the moment is. And I suppose what I'm saying is that instinct has been informed, supplemented and backed up by my training in a way that is now unconscious. I think one of the things that struck me is how complete I think it is, especially as a school that teaches craft in a way. And by completeness I mean there's emphasis on acting sort of method, as in sort of different ways of getting into character, expanding yourself into an imaginary situation, using the reduced techniques of Stanislavski and Meisner and Laban and all these different ways in, but also very simple craftsmanship about keeping your voice in good shape, keeping your body in good shape. And I don't mean just going to the gym and getting buff, but being limber and ready to perform, having an instrument that's playable, and knowing how to keep it in tune, and not necessarily like keep it really finely tuned, but keep it balanced so that nothing surprises you. You're fit enough to do things that are required. You're fit enough to do 90 performances in a run of the West End of a big 5-act Shakespeare play. You're fit enough to say to a stunt director on a film, yep, I can do that. And there is a sense, you're fit enough to, or agile enough to learn a song in 2 days. Or for example, do green screen on a big film, which is, as an actor, you're having to stand in a studio with the pressure of producers behind a curtain like the Wizard of Oz, with all the money going, he better be good, and all that keeps you safe is your imagination. I don't know, for example, if anyone has seen the films I've made with Marvel, like Thor or the Avengers, those films are kind of cut and pasted, like a sort of 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle. And often, many of the things that I'm responding to in character as Loki are supplied by visual effects after the event. So quite often, I'm in a situation where I'm in dialogue with thin air. I'm looking at, or I'm reacting to an explosion, or a monster, or a spaceship, or an alien, or some kind of cataclysmic dramatic event which is not in fact happening in front of me. Therefore, I have no external stimulus to respond to, and I'm having to supply the event in my mind and respond to it in my imagination as if it were happening. That's no different from stagecraft. If you're performing The Three Sisters in the West End, it doesn't take a great degree of intelligence to point out that you are not in fact in Russia, and you are imagining you are in Russia, and the whole thing is an imagined event. I suppose the things that I learned, I remember one day, in a scene with the Incredible Hulk where there was no Incredible Hulk opposite me, there was just a piece of coloured sellotape taped to a metal C-stand, and having to scream at the Hulk as if there was a Hulk there, and then I was swept out of shot, and there were wires attached to my legs. And I remember thinking, this is no different from a class at RADA where we're really learning clowning technique, and you're having to improvise that it's raining and you're having to put up your umbrella, and suddenly you're very cold, and there are all these things that are happening in the story but aren't actually happening. You're just in a white box. It just happens to be a green box, and there are cameras recording what you're doing, and you suddenly find yourself in a green screen world where you're flying through the streets of New York on an alien spacecraft, and actually you're on a kind of raised Dodger bumper car in a fairground that's being mechanically moved by hydraulic pipes underneath you, and there's a big fan in front of your face, and nothing is real, and you're having to supply the real responses with your imagination. And that, for me, I have found is where the discipline of having trained kicks in, and that I have a very real experience that I can draw upon to go, oh yes, I sort of know what this is. And part of it is actually the experience of letting go of your self-consciousness. And in so many ways, acting can be reduced to being unafraid of looking like a fool. Because if you were really there on set with me, watching me howling at the wind in the middle of a soundstage in the desert of New Mexico, I look like a madman. And in fact, I probably am. But it's sort of part of the job is that you're not afraid to look like an idiot, because on screen it looks fantastic. One hopes. I think.